Dear colleagues, I think this is 12:30 Bangkok time, so I think we can get started. First of all, I would like to welcome you all to day 2 and last day of our steering group meeting. And I would like to thank you very much for spending your time and for your contributions yesterday. And before I hand over to the chair, let me just reiterate that the sessions that we had yesterday were feeder sessions into what we're going to do today. Today it is supposed to be very interactive, and because we'll have to discuss the plans for next year and the year after. So reflect carefully on what you have done and what you presented and what you see as the program giving priority going forward. So the chair will be calling upon you, and please speak up and raise your suggestions and ideas on how you see the program shaping up next year. So let us make this a very participatory and engaging session. And we'll also have a panel discussion later in the last session, and focusing on how our two steering groups, our team, as well as our colleagues in the population and social, can actually work together. And you also have to reflect on some of potential activities that we can jointly do together. So I'll not preempt these things, but I think Enrique will give more insights when we go to session 4 later on. So without further much ado, let me hand over to our chair and moderator of today, Shahuda. So Shahuda, over to you. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Alec. Good morning, everyone. So yesterday we had a very interesting and informative session, like Alec has suggested. So I would like to welcome you all to day 2 of this important meeting. And first of all, today we are going to discuss a little bit on what we have said yesterday, the country perspectives on the activities that have undertaken. So if that is okay with everyone, I'll just highlight what we are going to reflect on, like based on 3 points, why some activities were successful, and suggest on which should be given priority. So out of the activities that were highlighted, countries can reflect on what you thought was successful and suggest on which should be given priority, because we all know that although we want to put everything on the top priority, there are a lot of issues that will hinder this, and without prioritization, it will be very difficult to move forward. And the point B is experience from engagement with global statistical community and its relationship with the work plan of steering group. So yesterday we heard that some of the countries have been engaging with the international statistical global community, and then what experiences that you have had. So if you can reflect on that. And point 3 is how to accelerate the delivery of activities through online platforms. So these 3 points we would like to discuss for about 20 minutes. Although I would like to countries to volunteer first of all. So shall we start with some of the countries? Anyone want to go first? Or?
I'm Uday from Sri Lanka.
Madam, I am Atikur Rahman from Pakistan.
So shall we start with Sri Lanka and then go to Pakistan? Okay.
Okay. Next year, 2022, we are going to do the field activities of population census. So we have a limited other activities to be accommodated in that year. So we thought of after the COVID-19 pandemic, we were forced to compel to use the administrative records for producing statistics. So we talked to there was a project by DESA, Department of Social and Economic and Social Affairs of the UN. So that they are focusing on integrating administrative records to produce statistics. So we talked to them, and now we are in the process of speaking with them. So we thought of having a business registry for the country, because we had a business registry, a statistical business registry with the support of ADB. We prepared that in 2013-14 economic census. After that census, with that list and microdata, we started that. And it's not regularly updated because of the coordination, lack of coordination of other tax office and others with their legal bounds. They were not prepared to coordinate with us. So now we are taking up as a business registry with the integration of databases of the places where businesses registered. That is the ROC, Register of Companies, and the PROC, Provincial Register of Companies. So we are going to integrate the databases and prepare a registry, because every institution, they need databases of businesses to conduct surveys. After the COVID-19 situation, everyone was interested in doing a survey and knowing something about the businesses. And so we started this work with DESA. Next year we are going to be, we think we will be able to start this work. And then the IIP rebasing and the PPI rebasing, those are now we are doing. I think before this year we will be able to finish it. Otherwise, so if anything happens, that will take to the first quarter of next year. Likewise, this rebasing of GDP also, it goes to the next year first quarter. Till March, it will go. I think March we'll be able to present the rebased database. And these are the plans for the 2022. And 2023, we are going to conduct the economic census. The last time we conducted the post-economic census of the country. So we are planning to do the economic census in 2023 with the agriculture census, integrating with the agriculture sector also, non-agriculture and agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Sri Lanka, you say you will focus more on the population census and strengthening the administrative registers. Yes. From Afghanistan. Was it Afghanistan? Oh, Pakistan. Okay, please. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, they are neighbors, but they are different. Okay. I'm from Pakistan. It's almost the similar status which my friend from Sri Lanka has stated. Pakistan is planning to conduct population census next year, 2022. And this will be a census which will be a digital census. It will be collected through electronic data collection for the first time. So the prior focus will remain on the population census. An addition which has been made for the first time is that we have always been facing the problem of frame for the establishment, especially the household economic activities, which have not been properly captured, and we are facing the problem of informal economy or the undocumented economy also. So in the population census, they have introduced some questions which for which we will be able to have some kind of information related to the economic census, because we will be asking questions about economic activity occurring in that household, and we will be linking it with the ISIC codes. So as you know that we have already developed our own Pakistan standard industrial classification, which is up to 5 digits and in some cases digits also. So we will be trying to have some kind of information along with the population census related to the establishments from the household or small scale level. So that will help in updating the establishment frame at the household level and the small scale level. And the second priority which Pakistan is planning for the next year is that we are rebasing our national accounts, as I said yesterday also, from 2005-6 to 2015-16. So we will be finalizing those results by March, hopefully in 2022, and then we are planning to start the quarterly national accounts. In-house work has already started, so we are planning. So the primary focus during the next year would be mostly on population census, with an additional information of the economic census attached with the population census, and then compilation of the quarterly national accounts in line after making the rebasing of the accounts in March 2022. So this is what we are planning for the next year.
Thank you very much. So when the countries speak, I would like to highlight to focus on the three points I've also put on the chat. High prioritized activities for the next year, and then why some of the activities were successful. So maybe other countries can also learn from those. And the engagement with the international community, and also accelerating delivery of activities through online platforms. Thank you. So which country would like to go next?
There's a hand up from Malaysia.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
May I take the floor?
Yes, please.
Okay. So according to the subject that we are going to discuss this afternoon in Malaysia, so yes, there are some shifting in priority, basically in terms of national statistical office activities. Basically, we are focusing on how we can assist government to control and manage the pandemic. So basically, we are producing more statistics, namely economic, statistic, and social. So basically, on social side, we conduct a special survey on the impact of COVID-19 to businesses and households. And for preparation for the next round of economic census for 2020 and 2021, basically we are looking for getting a new list of emerging industry. Basically, as we all know that during the pandemic, the digital economy is expanding. So we are trying our best to get all these players from the Company Commission of Malaysia, as well as getting involved with all the association. And then in terms of global statistical community cooperation, I think we highly involved with quite a number of international conference for example, International Statistical Council. And then we are joining the United Nations World Data Forum that just completed recently. And also at the regional level, we also assisting quite a number of countries in terms of capacity building. We are assisting Brunei and Afghanistan in terms of providing assistance on the calculation of financial sector, calculation on the input for GDP compilation. And of course, at regional level and in ACSS, we also involved with working group on system of national account. And globally, as I said yesterday, we are in a group of number of group on the SDA revision. And also from social side, we are involved in the ICP, as Joseph said. So actually we are running on limited resources, but however, in terms of demand from the stakeholders getting more and more, and of course, when you are entering the recovery phases, I think the role of NSO is getting important, especially giving new information about the impact and the achievement that being conducted by giving quite a number of financial aids to the economy and social, especially from the stimulus packages that being introduced by the government. So thank you very much for that opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you, Yazid. Anyone else? You can raise your hand as well. Hamish or Ziudin? Diodani or?
Yes, I'm Ziauddin Ahmed, Director, National Accounting Wing, BBS, Bangladesh Board of Statistics. Yeah, I'd like to say that Bangladesh Board of Statistics we are shifting our GDP rebasing from 2005-6 to 2015-16. It is almost done, and and we have just started the quarterly national accounts. We have just started to compile the quarterly national accounts, and I think the next fiscal year we will do this thing. And also we have planned to compile the regional GDP. You know, we have the 64 district, and there's a very demand from each and every district that individual GDP compilation. That's why we have planned to conduct the regional GDP, and our economic census. We have planned to conduct our economic census that will be conducted on 2023, and before that we are trying to conduct the business register, and this year also we are conducting the population census, and this is the first time the population census will be the digital census. And this is from me. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. From the Philippines, Joseph?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. For the Philippine Statistics Authority, next year we will be starting with the field operations training for the Census of Agriculture and Fisheries. So that would be on the third quarter of 2022. Right now we have an ongoing pilot field operations for the Census of Agriculture and Fisheries, and this would be the first time that an AI component is included in the CAF. And next year also, we will be having our updating of the list of establishments. And then hopefully also by the second quarter of 2022, we would be able to release the master sample, which is based on the 2020 Census of Population and Housing. Also for next year, we will continue with the annual survey of Philippine business and industries across all sectors in the economy. And there will be also a rider survey on ICT. And then also for next year, we will be rolling out the implementation of the provincial product accounts in other provinces. And as reported yesterday, we have just started piloting in 3 provinces. So we hope by next year when we start the rollout, we will be covering 7 other regions. So that would be all for the Philippines. And besides, we will also be continuing the monthly conduct of the labor force survey, as well as the monthly reporting of mortality statistics from SGRPES, and this is used to monitor COVID-19 cases as well. So that would be all for the Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are running a bit out of time, so which other countries would like to highlight? It would be good to keep it a bit short and focus. I can't see any hands. Hamish, okay, from New Zealand.
Rizwan from New Zealand, okay.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, maybe so. Just really briefly, I think there are very similar themes for New Zealand, as Yazid was mentioning, for Malaysia, and COVID-19 has put a lot of extra demand for statistics and coherent statistics in particular in the economic space. And the other aspect was also mentioned around the digital economy. That's certainly an area we are having a lot more interest, and without going into any details, is something we're exploring further with our customers around, what can be done going forward. So those are some kind of key additional bits of focus that are sort of changed through the pandemic work for us in particular. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other country would like to add or highlight on what has been successful additional priorities from Bhutan? Okay, please.
Good afternoon. Just to summarize some of the activities that we have undertaken, or those that we will be undertaking shortly. The few things, important things that we are going to undertake is, first, I think like many other countries, we are also working towards rebasing our GDP. That is the activity that we want to undertake shortly. Followed by the other activity is construction material index. That is something that has a lot of demand from construction companies, where they require price adjustments to be made. So in absence of any other index, they have been using Indian price, wholesale price. So the government has required the Statistics Office to come up with construction material index. So we have just started stakeholders meeting, and we are working towards developing the construction material index. The other activity that we would be undertaking would be in 2022, first quarter of 2022, we would be doing Bhutan Living Standard Survey, which is like household and expenditure survey as in other countries, but we call it Bhutan Living Standard Survey. That will be done in first quarter of 2022. Once that is done, then there would be a revision of CPI basket again. So which we normally do it every 5 years. After the living standard survey is completed, then we revise the CPI basket. So the other activity which we were required to be, to conduct was the cottage and small industry survey. Basically, the desire of the government is really to look at the contribution of this sector to the economy in terms of GDP. But we are not really sure as to whether the timing is right, given that most of the industries are, non-operational because of COVID at this point in time. But this is something that we are working towards. As soon as COVID restriction is lifted and things come back to normal, then perhaps we will be undertaking this census on cottage small industries. So these are some of the key activities that we have lined up for next year and beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
There was a hand from TechStat, I think.
Okay.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and also good afternoon. It's RJ from TurkStat. I would like to give information about our activities in 2022. And yesterday, as I mentioned, we have our official statistics program, and we give so much importance to this program because with the help of this program, each institution produce the statistics, not one, but so each statistics is produced with one organization, not more than one institution produce statistics in the same subject. Due to that, we have meetings with all other institutions, and we will publish our official statistics program next year. It's very important for us, and this official statistics program is announced for 5 years. So we can make revisions after the 5 years, we can discuss about the statistics and the topics. Also, in this program, in this version of this program, there will be planned activities. So each institution give their plans for the statistics. It's very important for us. And other works done by us, I would like to express, so I would like to share our experiences. We have a statistical production process implementation now. Our metadata department asks other departments the processes, the traits, the weaknesses, or the responsible people for the statistics. So now we can see all processes from the beginning till the publishment of all statistics, and it's very useful for us. We will update and improve this program also. These two examples are just for capacity building of Turkstat for the next year also. And I would like to say we will keep on working on barcode data for improving some of our statistics. You know, barcode data is a very good, very fruitful data, but it's very hard to work with it because there are many different data, millions of data. So cleaning the data, data validation takes really so much time, but it's very important to use this data for producing statistics. We also use other data sources like web scraping and websites in order to produce our statistics. We will also work on it in 2022. We will try to improve our final household consumption. It's especially for national accounts, it's very important data for us. And we are trying to improve we will trying to improve the other data sources like invoices and etc. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So I can't see any raised hands. If there's no other country, then maybe I can go to the presentation and then we can further discuss when we discuss the priorities. Is that okay? Or?
Chowda?
Yeah.
Maybe I just wanted to echo, I think now I'll put on the heart of an organization, not necessarily the secretariat, but I think just to share a bit of experience with our engagement on the SNA update with our colleagues in New York, UNSD. I think it's been a very interesting work going on that now countries have a chance to influence what the SNA should be like in 2025. So this is a great opportunity for countries to really get engaged and involved because I think the process this time now has been very decentralized and more, maybe bottom up. So you have you have a chance to participate in this. So I encourage you. There are a few activities that are lined up to try to experiment with some of the issues that are under discussion. So it's a voluntary basis, and this discussion is going on. As you recall, we had an inception seminar on the same, and there'll be some very specific seminars coming in. So Please take this as an opportunity for your respective countries to get involved and to influence, particularly from the perspective of our region. I think we can have a big say in some of the conceptual updates that can also reflect the realities of our economies. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Alec. It's a very important point, and I agree that later on sometimes we feel that our issues are not reflected properly, but sometimes we are not able to take the time to engage in these processes. So with that, can you see the presentation? Alec?
Yes, we can see each other.
Can see, yeah? Okay, thank you. So a bit of an update on the progress of implementation. So some of the priority areas that has been included in for 2021 is statistical advocacy, business registers, and the NSDS, the National Strategies for Development of Statistics, then research, knowledge sharing platforms, and the economic statistics training. And yeah, Elik, you want to say something?
Do you want us to put the presentation up for you?
Oh, you can't see the presentation?
No, we cannot see.
Oh, okay.
We can see the presentation.
I can also see the presentation.
Okay, then go ahead. Maybe it's my problem here.
Okay, thank you. So some of the activities that has been undertaken, we know that ESCAP has done a lot of commendable work on these statistical cafes. Some of these I was also trying to follow. Statistical business register work with ADB, emerging issues on digitalization, alternative tourism indicators. These are some of the related ones, I think, with this regional program. And as Alec has highlighted, the 2025 SNA update, the inception seminar on the 2025 SNA update with UNST, and the advisory expert group meeting on 2025 SNA update. These are some of the activities undertaken. Price statistics, import and export price indices, technical assistance was provided to Lao Statistics Bureau, then seminar on use of scanner data and price statistics through the data integration community of practice. And on the tourism statistics, alternative indicators of tourism statistics study. Some of the activities with regard to the capacity building e-learning programs in economic statistics, SCF, technical assistance missions in the Pacific by SPC, establishment of community of practice for economic statistics. Then some of the issues highlighted, limited activities on statistical advocacy and the National Strategy for Development. So this is some areas that need to be, we need to do more. And community of practice established, but it requires more activity by members. And need for further reflections for 2022 and 2023. Then some of the activities that are planned for 22 and 23 is we need to continue statistical advocacy, review of the NSTS documents, development and maintenance of statistical business registers, SPRs, and knowledge exchange through emerging areas of economic statistics, training in new areas of economic statistics, and statistical methods to mitigate against COVID-19. I note that many of the countries already highlighted doing many of these activities. And the reflections on the work plan, what were the main challenges in delivering results in 2021? So afterwards, countries can reflect on these. What were the main challenges in delivering the results during this year? How best can the steering group support the delivery of the program results? And what should be given priority in 2022 to 2023 collectively, I think. Would you like to add anything? Or?
Maybe we can just, as a steering group, maybe reflect carefully on the questions that have been put up there. To say what were some of the issues on the lessons we've learned from 2021, and at the same time look at how best we can support the delivery of the different research areas, notwithstanding our working modalities, and what should we give as a priority at the steering group level. We can reflect on things that we've done in our own countries, but at the same time, things that as a group we can actually try to put focus on. So I think let us just open this and let us think carefully through these suggestive questions as they are. So back to you, Chair, and then you can take it up. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we will start with some of the challenges. I think already many challenges have been highlighted with the COVID. And so are there any country who would like to reflect on any of these? Elector, do you think we go point by point, or overall is fine? Yeah?
There are hands up here. I don't know whether they're the odd hands or I did not even lower my own hand, but I see a hand from Malaysia, from New Zealand, and then Bangladesh. I don't know whether these are new hands or.
Sorry, I have completed my comment in previous response, so I lower my hand here. Thank you, Alec, for amending the technicalities.
Yeah, I had just raised mine again.
Thank you.
I guess one of the things reflecting on those points there is the challenge of having to work virtually, and while I think, you know, there are benefits in working virtually, there are some downsides to that as well, and obviously that is the situation we find ourselves in for the moment. And in particular, I was thinking about the you know, there's been those cafe theories presentations have been I've thought they've been really good, and I wondered about whether there was sort of another level of maybe focused on particular topics of interest for a sort of smaller groups of countries or topics of interest, and maybe it's more sort of workshop style, or it could be through the online platform that's been set up as well. I'm not sure, but it was something I was wondering about. For example, we're thinking about the digital economy a bit in New Zealand at the moment, and we had that series on that, and I think it was really good to hear that kind of overview on what countries are doing, but wondered whether there was a level below that might be of interest to countries, maybe slightly less formal, possibly, even though it's, but I'm just raising that as an idea as to whether that's something people think would be useful or not. I guess the other thing I was thinking about on these questions is maybe in terms of priority. So what I've found, I'm quite reasonably involved in the System of National Accounts update work in terms of looking at the papers and providing comments or advice for others and from a New Zealand perspective on those. And there's a lot of information in those. There might be something around going into those topics a bit more that with this group or other countries in the region. It's another kind of area that is things that are being looked at that might be of interest. Those are sort of two things that came up when I looked at these points. Thank you.
Thank you, Hamish. It was, I think, a very good suggestion. I can see some hands.
There's a hand from Vietnam.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. This is from the General Statistics Office of Vietnam. Actually, following up New Zealand ideas, we fully support the idea from New Zealand that we should have kinds of workshops or material sharing or some kinds of sharing of information for several topics that maybe a group of countries are interested in. For example, in Vietnam, we are now developing our list of digital indicators, and we are really need the information sharing from other countries so that we can know what other country are doing right now in support of our developing of the list of digital indicators and how to calculate the contribution of digital economy to GDP, and also the experience of GDP or CPI rebase, especially in the background of COVID-19. For example, we intend to rebase our GDP or CPI in 2020, and this year we conduct the economic census, but actually because of COVID-19, it's really difficult to capture all the information related to household or business so that we can fully capture the information in our rebase year. Actually, if ESCAP or the region can think about a chat box or some kind of a form for sharing the information, we would really highly appreciate. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much from Vietnam. In fact, if it is okay, I would like to add one activity that Vietnam supported the Maldives. Together with UNFPA, we had some experience sharing sessions on how they did the population census. So I think these are very successful activities, but it was like a bilateral thing. Thank you. Is there another hand up?
Yes, Chair, there is a hand from Pakistan.
Yeah.
And Bangladesh, I think.
Yeah. Who would like to go first?
Thank you. I'm from Pakistan, Pikur Rahman. I think two very important points have been raised by New Zealand and colleagues from Vietnam. when we look at our statistics, this COVID-19 has affected each and every aspect of the society. But the one sector which has really progressed a lot is the IT sector, or this computer and information technology, and the businesses, they have shifted from to the digital and online services. So there is a consistent requirement from the governments and as well as from the industry to have a proper assessment of the contribution of this digital economy in the GDP. So there is a need to have a collaborative discussion on it to identify the indicators, particularly in an economy which is informal in nature, or which is undocumented a lot. So there is a need to have some kind of indicators so that we could assess the share of this emerging sector in the overall economy. So I think there is a need to work on it, and we should have a working group to identify the indicators and the methodology to identify and assess the contribution of this sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now from Bangladesh. Mr. Atik Rahman.
Yeah, I just finished.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah,
Ziauddin
Ahmad. Yeah.
There is a hand from Sri Lanka.
Yeah. Shamali?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Because I'm happy to share because we have some challenges we are facing in compiling our quarterly and annual GDP estimates while capturing new and emerging activities. Sometimes before COVID-19 happened, and after with this situation, because some economic activities, especially the digital economy, especially IT sector, there is a because it is fastly growing activity with COVID-19 situation, and through our rebasing process of GDP, we did a study that to capture the real share of GDP in the IT sector while coordinating with our ICT agencies and the other related institutions. Through that, we could capture the real share of GDP, the ICT sector to the GDP, and using BOP statistics, balance of payment statistics, we can identify the export sector of this IT sector. Then through the survey also we captured in the formal sector of this industry, and because to include freelance, we were incorporating the statistics available in the central bank BOP statistics and some other special studies conducted by ESCAP. Then I think with that we could improve this IT sector, and at the same time we are having discussions to identify the new emerging industries in the industry activities and also some agriculture activities. I think, as you know, because we are now moving to the fertilizer. We are going to use carbonic fertilizers. That is why we want to identify those industries and the relevant production data. That is why we are now having discussions with the relevant authorities to get the relevant data to use in the coming surveys to identify those things. And I'm happy to share because in Sri Lanka, we have a long history in compiling monetary poverty measures, but with this COVID-19 situation, that non-monetary poverty also has increased regionally also. To identify those non-monetary poverty measures with our last household income and expenditure survey conducted in 2019, we were able to compile multidimensional poverty estimates, national multidimensional poverty. That's why I think in the very near future, we can use those results. We now the estimates ready to release the national multidimensional poverty and also child poverty measures. Then I think we can identify at regional level in which areas, that non-monetary areas, in what are the main areas we need to address in our planning to overcome this COVID-19 situation. I like to share with you all this what the successful activities and what are the challenges we are facing in compiling our economic statistics. Thank you, Mr. Aida. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shamali, and for your enthusiasm in sharing with the countries. We have another raised hand from
Mongolia.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, one of the challenges not directly related to the economic statistics, it's related to the social statistics, but if we need to harmonize coherence between to take the coherence between the social statistics and economic statistics, and so in case of the 2020, it's the pandemic year, and so when we estimate in the poverty head count, then we touch the problem because of the year of the every 2 years we estimating announcing the poverty head count, but 2020 actually it's the abnormal year, and so we government provided to households to fulfill the income, the lot of money they provided to the households, and household expenditure actually didn't reduce. It's somehow the stable, then we asked from the World Bank in case of the poverty headcount. We tried with the World Bank support some modeling modeling and revising the poverty headcount, not based on the expenditure of the expenses of the households. It's actual expenses is not, it's reflected by the government, by the money provided by government, and so here we will have end of the year we will have the different poverty headcount using some modeling issues. One of the also I don't know, I'm not say that is it is not the challenge, might be problem for us. It's 2020 is actually abnormal year, and every 5 years we change in the base year, and 2020 year it's the abnormal, and for the GDP estimations, and it's very difficult which year we will have the base year change. Previous year 2019 or 2000, 22nd. It's even it's the pandemic. It's continuously might be 1, 2, 3 years. I don't know. And base year problem we will have again. It's difficult for us to choose, or might be changed the base year. Maybe use the chaining or the different method. It's might be for every country if they change the base year 2020. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there another raise hand or any country? Neelima?
Thanks, Chair. I'm not going to dwell on the challenges. I did that yesterday. I actually just would like to reiterate the suggestion made by Pakistan, I think, Mr. Atiq Rahman, on the formation of a working group on the informal activity. I think that's a very good suggestion because I think I can safely speak for all the Pacific Island countries and territories. A lot of people have lost their jobs. People are being offered packages, like redundancy packages, and the informal activities are on the rise. So we really need to, look at the contribution they make to the GDP, and there's impact on SDGs and all. So yeah, I support that view. Thank you.
Thank you, Neelima. I can't see any raised hands.
Dauda, I have my hand.
Oh, how come I don't see? Please go ahead, Alec.
I'm always hiding, but and again, I'm not putting on the secretariat hat, just like another colleague here. I think I've listened to a lot of suggestions here, and I can notice that there is a high demand of information sharing, as our colleague from Vietnam actually made an allusion, and New Zealand also did highlight the success of start cafes, but also maybe was thinking of small scale at highly technical level, which is a worthwhile suggestion and really support it. But I think I just want to reiterate that I think as last time we agreed to establish that community of practice for economic statistics, which we did, and the chair's presentation also did highlight that it's there, but it's not been very active. That is also a possible avenue where we can actually work through some of these very detailed technical discussions that are coming up, or suggestions that are flowing here, whether it's informal sector, whether it's emerging issues like digitalization. So I think we've made attempts to reach out to all of you to subscribe to the community of practice so that we can have our own internal discussions, which of course we can complement with live events where we can actually meet virtually, but we can do discussions even prior to that. So I just want to say we have a forum, but I think we just need to give it more profile and get more involved. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Alec. Any further thoughts or reflections from countries who haven't spoken? Cambodia?
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity. But actually, I support to the Mr. Ali raised about the community forum, but I was subscribed to that in this year. but the activity are not really. We are not have any topic to discuss, and then I just wait, and I don't know if what happened to me, but since I subscribed, I did not have any meeting on or discussion, right? So please confirm that if activity is going on, or is, I don't know if I'm still in the loop, Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Elik, I think you're trying to say something. Or?
I'll say yes, it is there. It's just our collective responsibility to get it more active. So Mr. Shetra, you can actually initiate those discussions if at all. For example, if there is a topic of interest that is possibly bothering you, or which you need the support of the entire steering group. So you can just let us know, and then we can initiate that discussion. So let us just make it more participatory. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any final thoughts? We have a few minutes. Okay, I don't see any raised hands. Elect, did I miss any? I don't think so, yeah. So in that case, I'll just try to summarize a little bit on what the countries have highlighted, so we can wrap up this session. I noted down that a lot of countries are working on preparing for the economic census and the population census. So there, I think maybe we can think of having some forums where we can have countries who have successfully conducted these censuses also were there in the yesterday's reflections as well. So that is something that I noted down. Then the other one is on rebasing of GDP and the CPI. So there's a lot of issues and concerns raised on this, how to do it because COVID during these abnormal times, how what is the recommendation on the base year to use. So as if I understood correctly, there are some concerns and need for some guidance at the country level on that. Yeah. Then countries are using like SBR is something that is was noted by many countries that they are working on SPR and SPR updating process. Then the other one is going for the provincial level GDP. That is something that was highlighted. And then new methods of data collection like web scraping and for the CPI data improvement, and also the issues that we just discussed on more on the digital economy and then the informality. Those were the things that were prioritized, and some issues were highlighted. And then to use of this opportunity to engage with the international community as well. Yeah? And some issues were discussed on the integration, how to use this poverty and look at the non-monetary aspects as well, apart from the economic monetary side, especially on the poverty. So those were the things that were highlighted, and some opportunities for partnership and collaboration were highlighted in terms of having more engagement with the community of practice, as well as to organize sessions where countries can share experiences that can be something more than the Stat Cafe, yeah? That can have another form. Maybe we can try to come up with some activities based on this, what were highlighted and are common the challenges and what the activities that the countries are doing. Overall, that's what my take on this. If I miss something, Alec?
No, Madam Chair, you've actually summed up very well, and I think you made my life of taking down the key points pretty easy. I can notice that I think we have about 9 key priority areas as you've highlighted, and I think the meeting record is going to reflect this. Yeah, so I think you got everything right.
Thank you so much. So once we have these activities highlighted, outlined, we will share with the countries as well, yeah, later on. So you can add on if any important point is missed, or we think of something later on, yeah. So with that, with that, I would like to hand over to Ellie.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Before that, I would like to thank all the countries for the active engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Shahuda, for chairing this session and really managing it well, and for all dear colleagues for giving their thoughts on what should be given priority as we go into 2022 and 2023. And I think just to reiterate that this process is still not final, so I think you still have an opportunity to give us further thoughts. So if there are other issues that you can reflect on and think, please do share with the Secretariat, as is always the case. So thank you so much. And now we'll go into the last but not the least, session 4 on advancing integrated statistics. So I'll give the floor to Rike to take charge of this session. Rike, please.
Yeah, thanks, Alec, and hello to all of you. Good to see all of you again. I'm just checking in with you, Alec, because in my version of the program, we are supposed to have a little break now. Can we give everyone 10 minutes break or something like that?
Yes, please, Rika. And yesterday I promised people a break.
Exactly. That's what I recall. Yes.
Yes.
So we will just we'll just take not a long break, 10 minutes. So if you could all do your thing and be back in front of your respective screens in 10 minutes from now, and then we start the next session where we'll discuss advancing integrated statistics with a lot of help from colleagues who work more on a day-to-day basis on the social and population statistics domain as well. So we'll have some interaction. So do enjoy a short break, and see you all in 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So welcome back. I hope you all had a good mini break and are ready and energized for this last substantive session of our steering group meeting. Now this session is on advancing integrated statistics. And before I get into sort of introducing the session a little bit more, what I will do is to inform you all, some of you might know already, that ESCAP Statistics Division just has a new director as of 1st of November. And her name is Rachel Bevan, and she's actually tuning into our meeting today. So I wanted to give Rachel an opportunity to just greet you all and maybe say a few words. So Rachel, good to see you. You have the floor.
Thanks so much, Rikke. And it's lovely to kind of see you all, at least some of you, on the screen. So as Rikke says, I've only just taken over, so I'm still very much kind of learning a lot of things this week. But I've come from, my background is working for the UK government, but working a lot on statistical capacity building. So I've been working in that area for the last kind of 20 years. And in that capacity, have already been working with ESCAP and with SEAP, and particularly been working with Rikke, which has been great over the last couple of years. I'm really excited to be in this new role. And one of the reasons I really wanted to be able to join ESCAP was actually to work more directly with countries. So it's meetings like this that are really great to actually hear from you all about what you're doing, but just to also, you know, hear about the specific kind of things you're doing, but the challenges as well that everybody's facing, and also to just hear how much we can learn from each other. So I look forward to working with all of you in the future. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Rachel. And as you can all see, we are in good hands at ESCAP Statistics Division. So hopefully our collaboration over the next couple of years will take another notch upwards. Thanks, Rachel, for joining the meeting today. And now that you did mention learning from each other, and we are just about to start a session on integrated statistics, I figured I'd just also introduce another member of the Statistics Division to you all, and that is without any notification. So Petra, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Rikke.
Hey. So, dear steering group members, Petra is overseeing ESCAP's work on population and social statistics. Petra, do you want to just briefly introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. So I'm chief of the sister section to Rikke, which is currently the population and social statistics section. And Rikke had the very good idea that we should bring these two steering groups together. Part of this is because the Population and Social Statistics Steering Group gave us the mandate to move ahead with the work on data integration and setting up the data integration community of practice, which clearly does not just fit under Population and Social Statistics section. That is one which covers all different sectors. And indeed, the very point of it is to integrate the different sectors and make the most use of the data. And there's other work where we're trying to develop around bringing together gender, disaster, climate change, environments, and so on, which again requires this intersectoral work. And as I was listening to the discussions, and again, my ears kept on pricking up every time I heard the reference to the census and how important that is. So while that, to a certain extent, obviously falls under population statistics, the relevance is for all sectors of something like the census, civil registration and vital statistics, and population estimates. So I think that it's a very good idea that we try to keep an eye on what's happening in our different silos and try to bring them together a bit more. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Petra, and great that you also could find the time to join the meeting today. So, So let's get into this topic of integrated statistics. We talk about integration at a lot of different levels. And we talk about conceptual integration, data integration, institutional integration, interoperability. And a lot of these discussions really took off in the preparations for the development of the Sustainable Development Goals and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, where this whole issue of big data sort of took over a lot of the discussions. We need new types of data because we need to be able to do integrated analysis of complex development issues. Yet we see that once we start talking and actually doing, it becomes very clear that most of our organizations are still organized along sector lines. And that is certainly also true for the way we in Asia and the Pacific have organized the regional collaboration with 2 steering groups that in general do not have much to do with each other. So many of you may know that in addition to the steering group on economic statistics, there is also an Asia Pacific steering group on population and social statistics, but you may not all know that. And that, of course, reflects also how much each of us interact with colleagues that work in other departments of our own organization. It also reflects that much statistical production is still organized along sort of stovepipe approaches, which many of you would have heard that term, with a survey in and survey result out as sort of the general modus operandi of statistical institutions. But this is definitely about to change, and in many countries it has already changed. We just heard yesterday that one of our co-chairs, Mr. Yazid there, has a new title, which is actually the Senior Director of Change Management. So I'm very happy that that Yazid is with us also for this discussion, because that would be very much at the heart of some of your work these days, Kasim. We also see that demand for statistics along the lines that Petra just mentioned is very much moving towards thematic statistics or multi-domain statistics. And now we are in the middle of COP26 this week. Climate change statistics is all over the place at the moment in terms of priorities that are creeping up sort of the lists. And obviously, this is one type of statistics that have environmental, economic, and social dimensions. This is not the only one. There's a lot of work going on, a lot of priorities related to disaster statistics, ocean statistics, and the list is getting longer and longer. And of course, it becomes very important that we also adjust the way we work. And this is really the justification and the background for setting aside some time during this steering group meeting to discuss integrated statistics, something that is very central also to the priorities set by chief statisticians in Asia and the Pacific when they outlined their collective vision for statistics for the 2030 agenda. So this is what we have about an hour to discuss. And I'm very pleased that we have lined up a list of brave steering group members who have volunteered to be panelists and have also been given some questions before this session so that we can all benefit from the reflections. They've had a little longer than the rest of us to do, and also from their insights in their personal capacity. We have 4 panelists. We have 2 members of the steering group of Population and Social Statistics, and 2 members of the Steering Group on Economic Statistics. So our panelists include Aishat Shahuda, who you've all heard a lot to earlier today already as one of the co-chairs of the Economic Statistics Steering Group, and also our chair of this of the first session today. So Shahuda is well known to, I think, most of us, but she is the Deputy Chief Statistician of the Maldives. So welcome to the panel, Shahuda. Our second panelist is Joseph Kajitsa from the Philippines. We have also heard from Joseph earlier today some inputs from on priorities and plans from in the Philippines. Joseph is the Chief Administrative Officer and also the officer in charge of the Population and Housing Statistics Division of the Philippine Statistics Authority. Joseph, are you with us, and do you have a camera you could maybe switch on? Oh, there you are. Good to see you. Our third panelist is Ms. Corinne Kuyomjian, and Corinne is the head of the Population Census and Demographic Division of the Statistics Committee of Armenia. Corinne, are you with us, and do you have a camera you could switch on?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning to everyone.
Wonderful to see you again. Thank you so much for joining the panel, Corinne. And our last but not least panel member, I already hinted at that, is Mohammed Yassid Kasim, who is the Senior Director of the Change Management Office of the Department of Statistics Malaysia. He is also one of the co-chairs of the Economic Statistics Steering Group. Welcome also to you, Yassid. Good to see you as always. So what we will do in this panel is I will ask each panelist to speak for 5 minutes on the question they have received before the session. Now, since the questions include some progression, what I will do after each panelist has spoken is to open up the floor for reactions from all of you, from all the steering group members. Immediate thoughts, elaborations, anything you can think of. I will ask you, if you want to take the floor, to use the raise hand function. And I will then call on you whenever there is sort of a bit of a break in the session here. So we will hear from those 4 panelists. I will open up the floor after each panelist has spoken. And then we should also have time for some open Q&A in plenary, where I'll pick up questions from you all and throw it at our 4 panelists for them to deal with them. And then at the end, I will hand it back to each of our panelists to provide, say, 2 minutes of final reflections based on what you've all heard. So that is the flow of the session. And just a heads up to my 4 panelists here, I will call on you in the following order. First, Joseph, then Corinne, then Yassid, and finally Shahuda, just so that you are not too surprised when I call on you. Okay, you are all nodding. That's great. So we are ready now. So, Joseph, first question is to you, and the first opportunity to take the floor. What I would like to hear, and what I would like you to share, Joseph, with the steering group here, is something from your experience. So in your experience, what are benefits of collaboration across domains, across departments in statistical offices? For example, but you don't need to limit what you say to that example, but it could be collaboration between experts in social and experts in economic statistics, respectively. So, Joseph, the floor is yours for the next 5 minutes.
Thanks, Ricky, for the question. Our experience here at PSA, one thing, it has strengthened data support within PSA across offices, across the statistics on the, particularly on social statistics, population statistics, and with economic statistics. Our experience on the compilation of the macroeconomic accounts, where it used to be a challenge in the past. Why was that? Because there were institutional constraints back then, before we were merged into a PSA. And now gone are those traditional hierarchical structure and the blurred lines of accountability as what we have experienced right now. This has been embedded in the work programs for both of the economic statistics group as well as with the population and social social stat group. Like for instance, the provision of population data, population projection, and the provision of social statistics data inputs on expenditures, just as those what we gathered from FIES, from LFS for the estimation of the national accounts and labor productivity. And these are being fed regularly to the macroeconomic account service. And also, one project collaborated with the economic statistics group with the social statistics group, the conduct of the household survey on domestic visitors as inputs to the estimation of the Philippine tourism satellite accounts. Also, complementing the monitoring of SDG indicators. This one is lodged with the social statistics group. PSA is the official repository of SDG indicators here in the Philippines. So with this, we created the SDG team, which includes the designation of sector specialists coming from the macro accounts service as well as with the economic sector statistics service. So in particular, for those assigned to agriculture, to business and industries, as well as other economic accounts. And then also, with the collaboration that we experience across domains here at PSA, this has reinforced somehow operational processes. And this is particularly manifested in the creation of steering committees, technical working groups, task forces on flagship activities, just like what we did with the Census of Population and Housing, with the Census of Philippine Business and Industries, where we tap experts from both offices, from the Economic Statistics Group, as well as with the Population and Social Statistics Group, and even also coming from the CRPES group. So with this, we have been complementing in terms of resources and skills. And this has also afforded us opportunity to, to learn other disciplines coming from those areas. And with this, we were also able to reduce operational risk. And at the same time, we have increased effectiveness of operations. And we have observed that with the Census of Population and Housing, with the coordination efforts coming from these offices, we have improved coordination of services. And then the ability to share also, as I have mentioned earlier, resources and then complementing funds as well, and in the provision of ICT equipment. So where we lack on the provision of tablets and laptops, we used to get it from the other offices, particularly from the Economic Statistics Group. So I think that would be all based from our experience here at PSA.
Thank you so much, Joseph. I'm not seeing any hands up in terms of reactions to what you've just heard from Joseph. Is this experience something you all recognize, or is it just not happening elsewhere? Any comments are welcome. I will speak a little bit on what I've heard, Joseph, and then we'll see if someone else wakes up there. I can actually see Sri Lanka has already woken up, which is great. So instead of me babbling, I'll hand it over to Udaya. Udaya, please.
Yes, Ricky. This is what we did in the last census also. Some of the officers who engaged in population housing census were transferred to the economic census unit immediately, just after the completion of the field operation work. For the data analysis, they were not there to conduct the economic census, they were transferred. So that helped them to conduct the economic census smoothly because the field setup was there. So to get the data collection, it was very quick and very easy for them to handle with the district officers. So that is a good method, I think, what Joseph has suggested. So we also experienced this time also we are planning to do that.
Great, thanks for sharing that, Uday. And it was very much something similar that crossed my mind as I was listening to you, Joseph, that the benefits really include this, well, learning across different teams, building on each other's experiences. And this is both technical knowledge, but certainly also the ability to operate various equipment that we all need to learn. I also made a note that it seems that in the PSA, maybe started very much from the big restructuring you guys went through a few years ago, but there seems to be a virtual cycle, that you start working on joint products, and that actually spurs collaboration in operational processes. It spurs the cross-team learning, etc., and that in turn leads to new good ideas of joint statistical products as well. So Joseph, extremely positive experience there. Thank you for now. And what we will do is to move on to our next panelist, and we may hear not as positive a story, because the question that we have posed to our next panelist, Corinne, and maybe it's not fair at all, Corinne, but we've asked you to focus on some of the challenges. If you could enlighten us all on, what kind of challenges do we face when we collaborate across different domains, and how can we maybe address some of these challenges? So Corinne, the floor is yours for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank you for inviting me to share my knowledge concerning these things. Anyhow, we have to take into consideration that I'm coming from the population and social sphere, and my points will be from that sphere. Anyhow, I want to stress that we have to take into consideration that the official statistics is implemented based on the statistical programs. And for our case, the statistical programs are 5-year programs and annual programs. 5-year programs define the effective strategic and operational management and coordination for the whole national statistical system. And the 1-year programs are based on these, and they are already limited on the available resources for the year, and they are all based on the emerging users' needs. And that's why this is not a challenge, but this gives us some limitation to be flexible with new undertakings, new ideas, new forms of revision in the statistical. Anyhow, we are flexible within the resources that the statistics has. And the second point that is already challenged is the resources, because the statistics is based on the budget, and it is always limited for the statistical purposes. And to implement good ideas, good undertakings, new emerging, evolving needs of data users takes time for the statistics to reorganize anything. And in this case, anyhow, I can say that during our joint work as the population and demography is closely working with mainly all branches of the statistical sphere, only taking into consideration the population number, which is needed for each of the domain to facilitate their production concerning the population number, the distribution within the regions. But the other thing is that we are working also with the economic sector, for example, labor force survey statistics branch, the integrated living conditions survey branch, where, for example, in these both surveys, there exists topics which are mainly developed and processed in the demographic division. And this is also very productive collaboration. But for example, when I discussed the challenge procedure, the existing challenges with my other colleagues, just to find out what are other experiences, I find out that in some cases, for example, there are much more information coming from the social sphere, for example, concerning the costs of this or that social information. But it's some burden for the people working in the social statistics sphere. That's why they are just trying to reorganize, rebuild their statistical reporting, take off not social information, to cut them, and to leave only the social statistics information. And this, for example, for national accounts or other statistical division is pitied because they miss this information. But everything has its explanation because the resources are limited. And here is the next challenge, the limited number of human resources, the limited number of financial resources. And when I was thinking about these challenges, because the idea is very good, anyhow, the different statistical domains are working together, but it could be very productive if our resources could be not so much limited in order not to dismiss or decrease the information, but use them as it is necessary for our other branches of the statistics as well. And in fact, I was also thinking, I don't know, how can we address? Can I pass to that part of the question, how to address this? I was thinking,
please do so, yes.
I was thinking that there is a need to have concrete tools to collaborate across the domains. And these tools can be created or developed by the help of our international organizations and development partners, just to help the national statistical offices in this matter, because there is no specialized, for example, unit who will work on the innovations or new needs. We are just speaking or looking to the user needs when the year passed, and we have the chance to renovate or revisit our statistical programs. But if there will be a specialized unit which will work or if our development partners will create or develop, for example, tools, how to make some collaborations across domains for this or that purposes, it will be very helpful. And of course, the other thing that statistical offices need to for this purpose is the capacity building necessity, because for every day we have something new to learn, and it is not possible to do by our own resources or the limited and the case of language also exists, because not all the personnel knows English in order to use the online information that exists concerning this or that matter. And in fact, as far as we understood, we need to learn every day. We need to learn more and more, because each day we find something new. Even for this, our collaboration matters, new items that we need to discuss, new things that we need to collaborate within across domains. I think nearly what I could imagine from my point of view, from my experience. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Karin, for taking us through some of the challenges, but certainly also some of the solutions. Do we have any reactions from the audience to what we've just heard from Karin? What we hear here is the first half of the question in terms of the challenges, very much a matter of limitations in terms of budget, in terms of time, in terms of how the work is structured, and the time it takes to actually change that. What I'm hearing is that this cross-domain collaboration and cross-domain products, that's something you do after working hours. That's almost what I'm hearing, yeah?
Yeah.
So do anyone else in the audience recognize that picture? I see a lot of nodding, but I'm not seeing any hands up. It's okay. If you don't want to say so, it's perfectly fine. Karin, I also noted that in terms of, you know, how can we address it? You did focus a lot on how we actually can work together, both regionally and globally, to address some of these things. And I've made a special note here of both your thoughts on capacity development and on tools.
Yes.
Yeah. And I take the opportunity to just inform everyone in the meeting today that the community of practice on data integration, which is a community of practice also organized by ESCAP, did put together guidelines on integrated statistics last year. And maybe I can ask my colleague Afsane, who I see is in the audience. She's the one hand-holding this community of practice. She could share a link to that particular guide. But I would also say that the issue you point out on the language, Karin, is a very important one. And one of the positives coming out of the COVID pandemic is that we have managed to divert some of the resources that we all used to use travel, actually converting it to translation of quite a lot of material. So in ESCAP, we are focusing very much on making sure that more things are available in the Russian language in addition to the English language. But that is, of course, not the end of it, but at least it's a start. So, Karin, thank you very much. And it's time to move on to our third panelists, and we are going to zoom in a little bit here on lessons from COVID and also some of the possible use of integrated statistics for SDG monitoring. So Yazid, you know it's your turn, you're up. Could you tell us something about the lessons that the COVID pandemic may have taught us in terms of the use and the need for integrated statistics, and also discuss the potential of integrated statistics for SDG monitoring? So this is quite a comprehensive question. It's actually two questions, Yazid, but you still only have 5 minutes. Sorry about that, but the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Nikki, and our panelists and also our colleagues from steering group. So basically, I have outlined my points into, for the first question, at least 6 key lessons that we have learned from this crisis. First one, we need to have a very strong governance to manage the crisis. Basically, the immediate action by the government is to institute an appropriate legal mandate in terms of legal provision regarding health, economy, social and budgeting issues, so that all these parties can collaborate and coordinate in terms of using very pertinent and in this case, I think NSO or National Statistical Office has been engaged and involved in providing data, statistic information, and insight of economic to the respective entities. So basically, we are engaged and involved in high-level council. For instance, National Recovery Council, National Recovery Plan, and so on. So, and especially on the National Vaccination Program, we are providing data on population numbers by each category to this council, so that when we do some procurement for vaccine, so we get exact numbers, and this can be useful in terms of monitoring the numbers of population that are being vaccinated. So the second one I would like to touch about the statistical leadership. So basically, it's important that National Statistical Office embrace the key fundamentals principle of official statistics. So in terms of roles, we need to lead, collaborate, and coordinate among the various parties, especially in providing and getting data that requires by the various high-level council, I mean. And basically, we keep producing fundamental or basic or essential statistics during the pandemic. And in fact, we are producing more during the pandemic, depending on the request of the, let's say, Malaysian Economic Action Council, for instance. The third lesson that we really learned about is how we could or quickly setting up priorities and readjustment about the priorities. So basically, as we can say that basically the routine or essential is keep going, but however we also continuing our high impact projects such as Malaysia's population and housing census. So we believe that it can be provide greater access to granular data, and National Statistical Office also being appointed as for a few projects. So let's say for National Database for Informal Sector and National Database for Social Protection. This is in terms of collaborative effort involving so many ministries. And of course, when we managing or control the pandemic, basically we need to have so much data and across the board comprises of social, economics, and as well as environment. And the fourth lesson is how effective our communicate the social statistic, whether or not we can deliver or disseminate the data on time, or was it really fulfills the demand from the respective entities. So our customers basically ranging from ministries, agencies, international bodies, as well as from public domain. And also we also producing more statistical tables for similar areas. We managed to provide information at district level during the pandemic. So this comprises combining all social and economic statistics as well. I do agree with the capacity building because during the pandemic we have to redeploy a statistician from social and economic program. So they need to focus on the new things. So for instance, getting work done on the big data analytics. So we have combined all our data scientists in this project, and later on doing some exploration on greater access to administrative data from public and private sector. And the next thing that we need to focus is planning for more challenging scenario. Basically, this is why the CMO office or Change Management Office is established. So basically, we need to formulate strategies and come with some mechanism in terms of measuring the success. And the very basic one or the key performance indicators that asked to be delivered is to enhance a national statistical system and empower the National Statistical Office itself. So when it comes to the SGG, I think there are at least key 4 critical success factors that I need to highlight. So basically, we need to have a strong governance as well. So in this case, actually Malaysia have set up this priority since 2015 when the MDG is ended. So we are quite fast in terms of establishing the committee, establishing the governance, and DOSM is playing a vital role in terms of delivering the indicators. So basically, currently we have 52% of indicators as of 2019, and the coming one for 2020 will be released on 1st December. So basically, from 2018, we managed to increase about 29 new indicators actually. And then another point is that how good the alignment of national social and economic development plan with SDG targets. So again, when we crafting or drafting all the national social, economic and development plan, we also take care about the targets in terms of goals, target indicators. So this is another good thing about the management of SDG in Malaysia. Basically, we managed to map and indicate which indicators that belongs to. And another thing about coordinate and collaborate across public and private sector. So this is another new emerging areas that we need to focus on. Basically, lately, this private sector basically embracing the environmental, social and governance concept that may uplift the collaboration between the public and private sectors as well. And last but not least, about meet and match to resolve borderline issues. It is very important when we try to produce and monitor indicators of the SDG. We need to ensure that we have a very correct measurement of indicators. So basically, we have to sort it out all the borderline issues. So for example, providing government expenditure by COFOC, whether or not it belongs to NSO or Ministry of Finance. So we have to sort out all these things. And we believe that from time to time, our collaboration and bonding is become stronger between the ministries and agencies in Malaysia. So that's all from my point of view, Rike. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Yasid, for a very elaborate response, and just for the information of everyone tuning in here, actually Yasid and his team had put together quite a long presentation on these questions. So we will make sure that we share this on the meeting website so you can all dig into some of the many details that you did not have time to cover here, Yasid. I see that we have a reaction here from Pakistan. Mr. Rehman, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Yazid, for a very informative discussion. I will just take 2 minutes just to share our experience in the COVID. The biggest problem with the government was facing was whether to go for a complete lockdown or for a partial lockdown or a selected lockdown in certain areas where there were COVID cases. That was the biggest challenge. What the NSO has helped the government and the health ministry and the agency which was responsible for this, that we had the population statistics with us, population data, and then we had that data up to the block level, the lowest level, and a block comprises of 200 to 250 households, and that was available with us, that was geotagged. And then what we did was that we collaborated with the Ministry of Health, and they provided us the number of patients hospitalized or identified in that block. So we were able to map those patients on the block along with about 22 indicators of that block, giving us the population size, the room size, health facilities, hospital facilities, and that really helped the agency and the government to pinpoint the areas which were really hot areas and the areas which were not so affected. So they were able to have smart lockdowns in those blocks and those areas which were really affected. So this was a contribution which the NSO made by integrating the information of the population and the health ministry. And we also were able to give a chain, time analysis or the time series, the trend also that this block is now safer, the pandemic is moving to this area and this area. So this is what I wanted to add. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Rehman. And what we are hearing here is just one more excellent example of how statistical offices have really been able to respond very rapidly to some of these emerging demands that we were all facing during the pandemic, and several countries still are in the middle of the pandemic. And this is so. Thanks very much for sharing that. I heard something similar also from Yazid in terms of the pandemic really having pushed statistical offices to be, let's say, more agile than what we traditionally are. I don't mean to offend anyone, but that's very much what I'm hearing, that put under pressure some of the transformation in the statistical operations and offices and leadership, as Yazid was also pointing out. Those changes have actually happened with that additional pressure on the demand, and also opened up the eyes of several other government partners for the value of the information that statistical offices actually hold. So thanks very much for sharing, Mr. Rehman, and Yazid, thanks very much for your reflections. We move on to our fourth panelist, last but not least, Shahuda. Maybe you received the most difficult question of all, because what I'm going to ask you now is to reflect on what everyone else has said and say, well, what does this actually mean for potential for collaboration between the steering group on economic statistics, the steering group for population and social statistics? Does it make sense to collaborate? Would there be benefits? Can you think of any joint activities, for example? So Shahuda, the floor is yours. You have 5 minutes, just like everyone else. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Rike. Thank you for this opportunity. So I would say that what the other panelists have raised and the experiences that they have already on close collaboration is something that is definitely important, and that is something that we should be continuing. In the case of areas, and then if I would reflect on the collective vision, those areas that are highlighted, there are some of the areas like engaging users, investing in statistics, and then the quality assurance, trust, modernization, and the skill set. So all these things, I think it can be jointly done across the domains. Coming from a small statistical agency like the Maldives, we have no choice sometimes but to work very closely on big operations, especially like population and housing censuses, household income and expenditure surveys. So these there are a lot of benefits in having this core team who are working in the population and social statistics side, as well as the economic statistics side, to work together in identifying like requirements, data needs, and also engaging with other agencies in the statistical system of the countries, like other social and economic data providers and producers. Especially the labor market area is something I think very important, and because I see those in both economic core set of economic statistics as well as in the population area. So the new labor market indicators that we have produced from the for the ILO. So those types of things I think is very important to work together. And not only the data production side, but also taking this dissemination and to the policy makers on what it means going forward, what should be the policy implications. So taking that step together is also very important when you have like experts from different areas, like economic area as well as the social and the environment. In the case of our experience, we found that national accounts and the population, we developed these national transfer accounts. And that was something that really opened up the issues that we were able to identify many of the issues on how the labor income were distributed across the population age groups, the foreign population working in the different sectors, how this is distributed across age. So that was an exercise that that we did together with using the national accounts data and the population census data and the population projections. And that was very well received at the policy level. And I think it triggered some policy issues. And on top of that, the poverty and vulnerability. So like before, Sri Lanka also highlighted going beyond the the income poverty to the multidimensional poverty. So in our case also, we have now working on the multidimensional poverty index, and with the COVID, like it's important to do this vulnerability indices. So the vulnerability aspect, distribution aspect, I think those are the things very important also that can be do a lot of cross collaboration. The other thing is housing issues, like issues of the rental market. So these types of aspects, I think, has a lot of, again, collaboration aspects. Then the other aspect is the gender statistics. We are now focusing a lot on gender statistics improvement because it's cross-cutting in nature. We are working together with all the areas of statistics, economic, social, to try and make sure that we focus on gender issues, and then we involve the cross domains in this. So these were some of the areas that I can pinpoint and right now reflect on, especially the indicators, and those are highlighted in the SDGs as well as in the core sets on population and the social area. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Shahuda, for, well, you actually gave a lot of really useful examples and ideas on the kind of statistical products that that requires collaboration between the respective experts and units, depending a little bit on how a statistical office, of course, is organized. To me, what strikes me is that all the examples you mentioned actually end up with statistical products that are of very, very high usability for end users. And I think that that's something to keep in mind, that if statistical offices really want to meet the demand out there, it's the integrated types of products that really meet demands. These type of products tend to be more informative and speak more directly to the policy or development challenges that are foremost in the minds of the general population and of decision makers. So thank you very much, Shahuda. We now have 5-8 minutes for any reactions, ideas, suggestions from our audience here in the steering group. So I am just waiting to see the virtual hands go up. I'm inviting for additional reflections, both on challenges, solutions, as well as additional ideas or thoughts on potential collaboration between the steering group on economic and population and social statistics. So the floor is totally open. Are we going to see specific joint activities in our work plan going forward, or what? Mongolia, you have the floor, Adenisan.
Thank you. Just in addition to the Ms. Shahuda, I want to say that it is also the one way of the collaboration with the social statistics. It's related to the dietary consumption, food safety statistics. It's one way we should collaborate, food balance sheets, and related to the consumption. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Adenisan, for that, adding that. And again, we are looking at a topic which is of extreme policy interest and definitely requires that collaboration we all talking about. I want to put in an example of a topic many of you have also and are involved in, and that is the area of disaster-related statistics. And Shahuda, you mentioned the vulnerability index and assessments, which of course is part of this. But the reason I wanted to mention this example is that we have a development issue here or development threat, depending a little bit on how you look at it, but disasters are there. And one of the characteristics is that any information you really would be interested in here has a geographical location. So I find very often that one of the facilitators of collaboration across domains is the geolocation. Some of you have mentioned also this during the course of the discussion earlier today, but it often acts as sort of a grounding of both economic and social data. And very often, of course, when there is a geolocation, we have an environmental dimension that also comes in, which we haven't talked so much about today. But of course, given our setup and the questions, that's not so surprising. So I am waiting for others to engage here. We have Alec. Alec, please. Alec, you on mute?
Okay, thanks, Ricky, and thanks to our four panelists, and I just have a quick question to Joseph and Karine. I'm basically trying to repeat the question that was posed to Shahuda. I do acknowledge the ideas you've shared, but I want to say if we are going to go ahead with working together from the perspective of the social pop group, what areas do you think we can potentially work together and run those joint activities through the different forums that we already work through? So maybe any suggestions just to complement or supplement what Shahuda has actually highlighted. I think that would be very worthwhile to this discussion.
Okay, thank you very much, Alec. And before I give the floor to Karine and Joseph, I see that Petra also has her hand up, so I'll just take her inputs also first. Petra, please.
Yeah, thanks, Ricky. And just thinking about the way forward, we actually had a discussion among ourselves a little bit about how this might look. And we saw like two aspects. And one is the kind of taking an integrated systemic approach, which is looking at some of the issues that have been raised, such as the resources, the HR resources, the financial resources, modernizing statistical processes and so on, which are common, you know, across the whole system and affect all areas of statistics. So, and this kind of fits in very well, obviously, also with the collective vision. So that's one area where I think we can certainly come together, and the data integration is a very good example of this, and seeing what can we do further in this kind of area. But secondly, I think, Shahud, as you said, I think gender is a really good opening. It's one which is that there's already been, I think, a lot of thinking and work on this. We've made a commitment to gender mainstreaming in statistics as a division as well. This was also in the countries asked us to do this, rather, in the Committee on Statistics. So there is also this mandate from countries, and it's one which lends itself well to, I think, working across all the different domains and areas, and looking at how we can support countries to better integrate gender into all the different domains. And then finally, I think it's always good to also to go back to the SDGs and look at the indicators which are themselves cross-cutting, and how can we better produce those indicators when they cut across different domains as well. So there were just some reflections. Thank you.
Thank you, Petra. What I will do now is to hand over the floor actually to all four panelists. This is the final round. You each have 2 minutes. And I will ask Karine and Joseph in your reflections to include a response to Alec's question, basically asking you to reflect also on concrete areas for collaboration seen from the perspective of the Social Population Statistics Steering Group. So you have a tall order here. So I'll give each of you 2 minutes. We are heading towards the end of the panel here, and just to not confuse anyone, I'll call you in the same order as I did before. So, Joseph, the floor is yours. Just 2 minutes in this round, please.
I'll start with the question raised by Ike. I think from our end, coming from population statistics, it would be more on training needs, building capacities, on development studies, on the interaction of population growth and its effect on economic development. I'm not so sure if it's in the realm of the SGs, but I think that would be more of a concern for the PSAs, for us to be able to grasp into some kind of developmental studies or research studies on population and economic development, population growth of national and per capita income, and also population and food supply, all those stuff. Now, with regards to some reflections on collaboration based on our experience here at PSA, the nature of collaboration here at PSA appears to be evolving from data provision, data support within departments within the economic sector statistics service and the social sector statistics service, also with the CRPES, to newer areas necessitating partnerships. Like, for instance, the conduct of the Census of Population and Housing, the conduct of CRBS activities, the conduct of the Census of Philippine Business and Industries. I failed to mention that the conduct of the population census evaluation was managed by the Economic Sector Statistics Service. And in part of the media advocacy campaign on the Census of Population and Housing was also managed by the Macroeconomic Account Service. So I think all those. And then another thing that I would just like to emphasize also, that with this collaboration efforts, it has leveraged technological capacities, sharing platform systems, applications, information, and even infrastructure. Where we lack tablets, laptops, we loan from the Economic Sector Statistics Service and also from the Social Sector Statistics Service. So we had problems on the provision of tablets for the copy on the Family Income and Expenditure Survey. We got it from the Economic Sector Statistics Service Office as well. So I think that would be all from my end. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for those reflections, Joseph, and thanks for joining the panel today. Karin, the next 2 minutes are yours.
Thank you, Alec, for your question. In fact, I agree with Petra. I was thinking the same for collaboration topics, the gender, which will be very important and productive for the countries as well, for this collaboration domains. The next thing, in fact, I always also thought that there is a need for improvement in the SDG, some indicators which are not calculated by the countries, which needs to be explored and help to the countries. Maybe this will also be a topic to be discussed for further collaboration. Thank you, Petra, for her points, and I agree on this. Concerning our final things, I think that in any case, our collaborations with low or with large amount, in fact, they take place. Just we are thinking about using this collaboration for more productive outputs. That's why I think that today's our discussion directs us to more productive collaboration, and I thank my colleagues from different countries that give much output to this and directions to this joint collaboration with the help of our development partners and ESCAP as well. Thank you. It was very productive and important meeting. And in fact, as a person who is coming from the population and social sphere, this was very informative group meeting. And thank you for all the countries that shared their experience and gave a fruitful output for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karin, for the reflections and certainly also for being with us through this meeting. I so appreciate this, both from yourself and from Joseph, and I'm glad that you also feel you are taking some learning with you. Yeah. I see the session we have today as a start of more collaboration to come, and I think we have some excellent suggestions on the table thanks to all the good inputs from yourselves. So thank you very much for that, Karin. We move on. Yasid, final reflections from you. 2 minutes, please.
Yeah, basically, we need to reflect on the COVID-19 pandemic and the opportunity that it's bring to us in National Statistical Office and National Statistical System. So basically, in terms of collaboration, we need to agree that population and housing census will set a base data for planning. So in the case of Malaysia, we really hope this round of census, population census, will be served as a background for more modernized operation in 2030. So we're setting up a database for Malaysian Statistical Address Register, and we are looking forward to have Malaysian registered population census in 2030. So another thing about the collaboration for SDG, I think to embrace the no one left behind, I think it's a responsibility for NSO, especially for those responsible for producing and monitoring indicators to ensure that every single person in the country is well taken care. So in this case, basically, we need to ensure that the indicators should be available at the smallest area. So in this case of Malaysia, we are looking forward to produce indicators of SDG at district level. So currently we already have at a state level. So that's my reflection on the two things. And we believe that with the emerging importance of this social and integrated statistic with economic statistic, I think there's a lot of opportunity, and we do believe that with the work plan that we already outlined towards 2023, we need to some kind of to review and reflect on the success area and the most lowest hanging fruit that we can meet from this session. That's all, Rike and everyone. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you so much, Yasid, and thanks for ending your reflections there on such positive notes. And I'm just also noting that some of the suggestions that have come up during this session, we should definitely revisit and make sure that this is reflected in our work plan. And this is something that we can do among the co-chairs and then share with the whole steering group. As Alec mentioned earlier also, there is still opportunity for everyone to comment on that work plan. So I think we have quite a few new good ideas surfacing in this discussion. So thank you so much, Yasid, for joining the panel. So Shahuda, you have the final 2 minutes, and we are running a bit over time. So you will indeed have the final final word, because after this, I will hand over to Alex straight without trying to summarize anything, just so that we are not failing totally on time management here. So Shahuda, final reflections from you, please.
Thank you very much. I think like just reflecting on everything, the most important thing is to work together to build this capacity to stay relevant, I would say, because we have like coming from smaller countries, and we have a lot of limitations in the types of things that we can do to improve this integration, especially the data quality assurance frameworks. With a new statistics law in place in the Maldives now, we are working on improving the organizational structure, functions, and working on the NSDS. So there we are trying to come up with priority indicators, and like the statistical planning component, I think, is very important, so that within the organization, across the sectors, like everybody knows what is coming up, so that you can free up your time or be interested to collaborate more, because sometimes you are too busy to give enough time. So proper planning and coordination and I think engaging with the users, especially the policy people, is very important to get the funds as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shahuda, and what a wonderful statement to end this panel. I mean, what I'm hearing here is that we need to advance integrated statistics to stay relevant. So I think on that note, let me thank our panelists again. Really appreciate your inputs. Thanks to all steering group members and other participants who listened in and contributed to the discussion. It definitely helped me reflect more on this. And as I mentioned, this should be the beginning of more collaboration to come. So with that, I hand over to you, Alec, to take us through the very last bit of our meeting. Please, Alec. Alec, you're on mute.
Okay. Thanks, Ricky and colleagues. I think we're coming towards the end of our meeting. Maybe before I go into further details, I think we have put up an evaluation form in the chat box. Please take time to go through it. It's very important for us to get your feedback in terms of how we can organize these meetings better in future. So please take, it will take you about 2 or 3 minutes. Feel free to fill that form. And then coming to the actual meeting, I think I would call the meeting a success. And I'd like to thank our 4 co-chairs who provided a lot of input at the design stage of this meeting. And we've tried as much as possible to incorporate a lot of those ideas as reflected in the issues, the 9 areas that we discussed as potential areas of focus going forward from 2022. And coming to the panel discussion, I think there is a consensus that we are racing against time to remain relevant because the COVID has taught us a lot of things. A lot of data producers have actually emerged, and so have been the diverse needs of users. And we can leverage that sort of competition by the fact that we already have systems in place. So we've already been collaborating, and I believe going forward, your suggestions are worth a while, and we'll put them in more systematic a way that we can actually work together as different or as 2 distinct steering groups, but ideally we already work in our respective countries. And I think one possible avenue is already the existing online or virtual forums that our different groups have actually been working through. Even us at Secretariat, we've actually tried to we've realized that we need each other, and I think in the data integration community of practice, we've done a lot of work that has been cutting across our different work streams, and it's really been worthwhile to tap, as Joseph said, that sometimes you end up complementing skills from colleagues that are possibly more versed, or they give an outsider's view of the work you are doing. So thank you so much for your time and your contributions. And let me particularly thank Joseph and Karine, and of course Petra for all the background work with Ricky to get this session organized. It was the most difficult part to put our brains together. But here we are. I think we understand each other much better. And going forward, I believe at the secretariat level, Afsan and myself will be able to support the work of these groups as we normally do, but probably with a joint sort of events. And last but not least, let me also thank my colleagues, Ayo, as well as In, who have worked behind the scenes to make this run so smooth. Thank you very much. It was a great teamwork, and I look forward to the next meeting. And we're going to prepare a detailed report for your consideration, and so that if at all there are things that we have missed, you can always give us a heads up, so to make sure that everything has been captured. But we look forward to the collaboration of our different groups. And I also encourage you that please let's take full use of the online platforms like the Community of Practice for Economic Statistics that we've acknowledged here of its existence, but not too active, and think we can discuss certain minute technical themes. And feel free to initiate that sort of discussion. And if you're not yet a member, we'll be able to send you an email for you to get involved in this discussion. So thank you very much, and I wish you all the best. And we'll meet next time, but let's continue meeting in the cyber world. So this meeting is adjourned, and thank you very much.